Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a great viewer question. And even though we've covered it on the channel again, I want to go over and review it again because we can all use a little tweak or a little brush up. And for some people along the journey, perhaps this is, a presenting symptom that you might be experiencing after encountering or experiencing narcissistic or psychopathic abuse. And namely, that is of just sort of recycling or non-productive ruminating thoughts, otherwise known as intrusive thoughts. What feels almost like a compulsion or a propulsion. So it's oftentimes the result of gaslighting or brainwashing, where your mind just seems to stay stuck in a rut. And oftentimes this is an after effect, an aftermath of a relationship after you have experienced narcissistic or psychopathic abuse. The reoccurring thoughts, the ruminating thoughts, are sort of fear-based. They can be paranoia-based. They can be, exhibiting lack of trust, either lack of trust of self or the other or the world at large. So it can be unique and a case by case, for each individual person. And the ruminating thoughts are just sort of on like an automatic cycle, almost just like they continue to repeat over and over and over again until you downgrade those thoughts. And how do you really do that? How do you deal with it? Number one, you have to realize that there is a mindset that is created within an individual after they have experienced narcissistic or psychopathic abuse. A mindset meaning a storehouse of beliefs. It is a foundation. So you might have certain beliefs which are operating the show, running the engine, directing your life, or just sort of, have you on what you might consider automatic pilot or habitual living. And this never becomes, I feel, really as so pronounced after you've experienced narcissistic or psychopathic abuse. And that mindset, that outlook, that positioning of yourself as you relate to yourself and others needs to be tweaked. It needs to be upgraded. It needs to be reviewed and revised. It needs to be dialed in. It needs to be trimmed down away from sort of the dead weight and the erroneous flawed thinking that can be instilled and created as an infect, as a result and effect of this relationship. So it might put your life very off course and you don't even know it as such. So you have to sort of get back on course and realize the effect of this mindset. And particularly that of a mindset is a belief. Number one, if it's instilled that you are not good enough, you are not strong enough, potent enough, funny enough, smart enough, intelligent enough of something or another. There's usually, after you've really already been squeezed out, they've already squeezed you empty, and they go, look, there isn't any more. They've already used you for all it's worth. So it's kind of like they create a sort of self-perpetuating cycle that they go, look, you're down right after they've hit you. I mean, it becomes this, and then ruminating thoughts, which mean I don't know how to get new information into this cycle. The cycle keeps going and going and going like a habitual, just like a habitual habit. I mean, just as much as sort of breathing, drinking when you're thirsty, it becomes, a sort of life fulfilling mechanism. In other words, it keeps you where you're at and it will keep you stuck. So the ruminating thoughts are based on oftentimes a set of beliefs which have been instilled from the narcissist. Particularly if it's you are not enough, then you're living under that lid. There's, the law of the lid, and it really, and you can research this, but it's kind of like it keeps you lower and lower and lower and lower. It becomes a mindset, an outlook, and it can be very bewildering, very disempowering, meaning not giving you a lot of energy. And then people get used to then not having a lot of energy, having a small or limited life. It becomes a new normal and a new real. It becomes, until eventually you're like, I think I want to, I need to, this is becoming very boring. It's becoming very dulling. It's becoming very nullifying. I'm unhappy. I'm not meeting anybody. I'm not doing anything with my life. So you have all these sort of realizing epiphany moments. And these can be an after effect of a relationship with after you've experienced narcissistic or psychopathic abuse. So you need to really understand the importance of a new mindset, the importance of having new beliefs. It sounds so simple, peace and harmony. It sounds so basic. Why isn't it more complicated than this? Because even getting these instilled is going to take some work. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some definition. It's going to, take getting a new foothold, a new, handhold on things. You're going to need to get a new grip. You're going to need to feel safe enough to let go of the self-limiting beliefs and mindset. Oh, but peace and harmony, wouldn't I feel more safe holding on to those? If you are unhappy, despondent, apathetic, complacent, feeling lazy, disempowered, unhappy, overly anxious, that means your energy is trying to get a new, basically fresh air. It's looking to get a new mindset, and particularly valuing things such as yourself, such as your body, such as your freedom, such as valuing your self-trust. You need to treat everything as if it is sacred, because it is. The narcissist and the psychopath oftentimes are operating by a superiority complex, an entitlement complex, that they can just sort of, careen through relationships and just think that they can kind of double back when they, need you more. And even though they've already squeezed you out, beaten you down, and saying, look, you're so down, you have nothing to give me, because they've already squeezed you out, they're creating just sort of this control over you prophecy, which then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy if you buy into their needs and the mindset. Rather than being self-created mindset, it can oftentimes be created by an abuser. Narcissistic or psychopathic abuse oftentimes is laden with mind games, with beliefs, with reflecting back to you that you are, there's something wrong, there's something missing. They're missing the big picture. They're missing the good about you. So the problem with the mindset is that a lot of people take their responses or reactions at face value. Maybe I didn't have the house clean enough. Maybe I didn't dress up enough. Maybe I didn't cook enough. Maybe I didn't work enough. Maybe I didn't drive long enough. Whatever it is, there's something not enough, usually in their eyes, even though this is who you are, what you have. Don't surround yourself with people who are belittling, lacking empathy, constantly critical, trying to ground you down to a powder, a pulp, whatever it is, and then blow you away, gone with the wind. These people will create, because of this dissatisfactory tone or approach, it creates the mindset which then will run itself automatically. Like, it won't go anywhere. So you'll feel stuck. You'll feel very unhappy. And oftentimes a lot of people can be very scared because they're like, how do I get a handle on this? Well, let's start by getting a handle on it. Realizing that there is a handle, you have a handle, there is a lever, it is called leverage, which means you have to have deliberate control over yourself and your thoughts. Oh, but peace and harmony, this ain't that easy. Okay, well, it ain't that easy. You are right, but it is something that once you work on it, it's like getting a negative, it's like getting a weed out of your garden. The roots might seem to go everywhere. It might be on every plant. It might be going up, right, down, sideways, and you need some tools to get it out of the garden. It might be a garden that's like a psychological vampire where it takes all the light, it takes all the water, it takes all the nutrients out of the ground. So you have to determine to what degree has your energy been zapped, leached, lost, weakened, brought down, and if so, period, end of story. It is what it is. And the more you go no contact, the more you'll be more sensitive to how the energy changes, when you are on these reoccurring thoughts or when you break the cycle. You need to break the cycle, and you need to understand, that you have to kind of look and resensitize yourself and treat things as sacred, as yourself, develop a new sort of, treat things as sacred. Observe the everyday miraculous. Look at the everyday awe-inspiring. Break the cycle. Go for a walk rather than sitting down. Listen to a podcast or a video rather than watching the everyday doldrums in mind-numbing. Begin to exercise your thought. Begin to emphasize I am. Begin to, do this with a sense of commitment. If it's just like, I am, you're not going to break the cycle. You need to be very confident. You need to hold your head up. You need to change the physiology of your body. You need to start doing and taking action and restore your sense of beliefs. Actions speak louder than words, so you really need to take action. You might be doing some of the tools. You might be doing them sporadically. If you're doing some of the tools so much sporadically, then you're going to get sporadic and maybe results. So, and until you have really decided and determined that you are enough and that you deserve to be with others who respect and appreciate and have empathy, you might start as very, small, values. I need to be respected. I need to be appreciated. I need to be able to do this. I need to be able to sleep enough. I need to be able to eat enough. I need to be able to have, conversation. I need to be able to feel that I'm out of the antagonism. Do you want to, how much more of your time do you want to spend in antagonism, fighting, bickering, struggling over the, most minuscule of things? If your life is about that, then that will show you how limiting your perspective is. So you need to release, you need to let it go. You need to go in the direction of expansiveness and growth, namely your happiness. I mean, we're talking about a feeling, how it was said to me on several occasions, people don't so much remember, I forgot this thing, but it's they remember how they make you feel. And I think Maya Angelou had maybe said this decades ago, maybe in the 80s. And so if people don't make you feel very good about yourself, and not to meaning that they don't have that power, but you are not feeling very good around them for a reason, you have to realize that your feelings are your own, claim them as such, and begin to get to know your feelings a little bit more. I am scared. Begin to develop a trust and sacred trust of self. Read some of the ancient texts, read some, get a handle on value and what is sacred, and then how to take action. It might startle you how much action you need to take. Well, if you can take a little bit of action, on a consistent basis, then you will make progress. But the ruminating thoughts are trying to sort of flush it out. And it will show you the degree to which your mind is still recycling things, to which your mind is still saying, are you sure you want to continue to believe this, atrocity? Then if you're just going, yes, and then you're just allowing the negative cycle to continue. So you need to break this cycle. You need to have deliberate and emphatic I am. I am safe. And you need to be more declarative on your feeling, thinking, behaving, and becoming. Like the book by Michelle Obama, Becoming. I mean, that's a strong word. It's a strong title. You are becoming. You are becoming and developing and growing in the direction of your dreams. There's always and your vision. So if you're still harboring and hosting the fear and the vision of the narcissist. That's the degree, and you want to lessen that. So you want to be able to really go in the direction of 100% self-reliance, self-direction, autonomy. Once you can do this, you'll become a better gauge of character. You'll be able to identify, yep, that is a narcissist. Yep, that is a psychopath. With repetition and experience, you'll begin to understand, because you can see how they crouch over your boundaries, emotional boundaries, verbal boundaries, standing on your toes, basically is the saying, they're stepping on a lot of toes to get what they want. So be able to back off and be able to treat and appreciate the sacred within you. Look around and acknowledge it and validate it. Even your health is sacred. If you don't appreciate the small little miracles, the fact that you saw, something that caught your eye, that developed a new interest, this is the sacred. You need to reevaluate your value and put value on things that life is trying to show you. Put value on it and develop and cultivate it and be innovative and resourceful. I can't emphasize that enough. Maybe not a lot of people have that resourcefulness, or maybe you have a limited amount. Then you need to work with that and develop it and grow it, but have power and control so that you're not feeling so just sort of at the mercy of the mindset that was created in you by the narcissist. Go ahead and create your mindset. Create your belief system. I am important. I am worthwhile. I am interesting. I am lovable. I am safe. I am safe. I am beyond harm. I value myself. I value empathy. Just begin to make these statements. And you might find that you only do it for a specific amount of time, and then you have to pick it up again. Peace and harmony, I don't know if this is going to work. Well, you have to do the recalibrating of your mindset, because that is what is running the show. If you have, just sort of a lot of happiness, just sort of undergirding your days and your hours. You can try this. It will definitely help you. You can shake it off and then take action and go in the direction of the sacred, the value, the self-protection, and that which is going to give you a better life and lifestyle. And if you can do this and then be able to then identify and have a new value system for yourself and your new relationships, be willing to do that. Be willing to go in the direction of the sacred, your values, your I am, and something meaningful and really, I think, really productive. Because I think a lot of the fear is that, if you're kind of coming out of the tailspin of a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath, you might have to do a lot of work and you might not feel very productive. In fact, it might be to the point where you aren't unable to work. You're unable to support yourself financially, emotionally. You might need a support system. Family members who were there for you, who are there for you now. Other friends, other resources, way that you can create connections, bond, shared experiences and new memories is an important object for you to have a goal for, and namely that of sort of having a new vision is so important, and visualization will create manifestation. So you need to have a vision, a picture, a feeling of what it is that you want, and it should not really incorporate that of the narcissist. In other words, that you're not sort of fueled by them. In other words, I'm going to compete with them. I'm going to do better than them. I'm going to show them. Then you're still harboring the abuser. You're still keeping abuse in your wheelhouse. You need to be able to exit that little by little, especially the mindset and the beliefs. Be able to restore your mindset, from the I can't to the I can, from the unproductive to the productive. It'll help you feel a lot better, and then actions will begin to restore some energy, finding foods, supplements, different, apothecary teas, the old just sort of things that you're putting in your body will create the same feeling. If you're still drinking and eating a lot of the same items, then you're going to feel the same way. Early in my studies of university, I did a lot of study on the effects of, different foods and how they, created a different set of well-being. And this became an interest to me as a teenager. I became very well aware, that if you eat protein, it gives you long sustaining energy. If you eat carbs, it gives you the up and down. I became very sensitive to the just sort of fuel, around. What gives you good energy? Honey, peanut butter, nuts, and everybody is different. So you might need to learn and read about your blood type or your food type. What makes you feel down? Give yourself and set yourself up for success. Particularly for me, I did not eat a lot of bread or carbs or crackers or cookies or sugar or candy or any of those sweets, ice creams. I mean, I did not have any of that in my diet. I had a very clean diet. Vegetarian. Studied Gandhi's Experiments with Truth. Had to do studies on that, papers, discussions, class discussions on experience with truth. And so he talks about how spices and certain mindsets and certain foods create, aggression, which then create, just sort of this karmic cycle. And that's a lot of more than you need to know, but realize that as part of my studies, realize that food and certain things that you take in will affect your feelings. For part of my studies, I eliminated meat. I lived like a vegetarian. I lived like Gandhi. I followed his tenets. I did report on this. We had to. This is what is done, to my knowledge, is called verbal, it's like a verbal education, or, passed down through allegory and story. Kids are taught to live like Gandhi. In other words, the non-violent. He was really one of our greatest leaders. You can study the lives of these inspiring people. As I talk about in the book that I'm working on, having a mentor. Who do you look up to? Begin to realize that you look up to them for a reason, and identify that. Create a little bit of mystery in your life today and self-discovery, and really begin to value the sacred, value the miraculous. See if you can find today something, at least 10 things that are sacred or miraculous. And if you can write on your paper, what did I find today that is sacred and miraculous? And I want you to list 1 through 10. And I bet you anything, you can come up with a 10. And I want you to guys, if you watch this now, post today, later in the day, what did you find that was sacred and miraculous that can help you to restore your mindset? This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, please donate, and please participate for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.